Hey everyone, today we're looking at how you can create an Eblast template in Keela. So you can locate Eblast in the sidebar of Keela, and there are two ways that you can send out an Eblast. The first is from this Eblast tab here. You can create an Eblast from scratch and send it straight out. Or if you like, what we're going to be looking at today is you can travel to the custom templates tab and you can create a template with your branding and your logos that you can use to send an Eblast out every time. So we definitely recommend doing this when you start up, because that way you'll have a base to go from every time you need to send out a communication. And it's really good if you've got kind of a common theme or common branding that you want to use every time. So I'm going to create a new template here, and I'm going to call it my monthly newsletter, because I'm going to send this out as an Eblast every month. Now, one thing to note is everything from now on, the process I'm about to follow, is the exact same process if you're wanting to create an Eblast from scratch. So you can still use this as a guide if you're wanting to create just a once-off Eblast from scratch as well. So when you click create a new Eblast template or create a new Eblast, you get taken to here, and you can start by selecting a default template. So these are pre-created templates that we've made for you. You've got ones with coloring and branding and images that you can look at to get an idea of how you can use the system. So what you can do is you can select these and change the content, change the images, change all the coloring if you want to suit your needs, but it's just a great way to kind of get an idea of how to structure your Eblast. Alternatively, on the sidelines down here, you've got a bunch of templates that don't have any coloring or branding, but they do have a really cool kind of structural guide on how to build your Eblast. So if you're not sure how to send out mass emails or where to begin, I definitely recommend starting with one of these pre-made templates. But if you're feeling adventurous like me, you can come down the bottom and you can select the basic blank template here, which means you're going to be starting from scratch, which is what I'm going to do today. Keep in mind, I'm not very graphically inclined, so all of this will be for demonstration purposes. I'm sure your Eblast will look much more beautiful than mine is, but I'll do my very best. Okay, so here you will find the Eblast Builder. And like I said, it's the exact same for whether you're building an ongoing template that you want to use every time, or if you're just making an Eblast from scratch just today. Over here, you can see you've got a kind of preview section. So here's where you'll know what your Eblast is going to look like as you make adjustments to it. Over on the right side, you've got all of the editing controls. So this is where you're going to look to for any kind of adjustments or new additions to your Eblast. There's two tabs to this section. You've got the layout tab here, which you'll be taken to automatically, and you've got the settings tab over here. I'm going to start with the settings tab just because I find it's a little bit more of an introduction than the layout tab. So by flicking to the settings tab here, you'll see we've got layout width style, you've got some headers, background color changing, and some padding, all sort of perhaps unfamiliar words to you, but don't worry, I'm here to talk through each one. The layout width style is referring to the background of your Eblast. I'll show you what I mean by adding a white background to the top of my Eblast. Click choose there. At the moment it's boxed, so you can't see any changes, but if I switch this to full width, or actually, you know what, maybe I'll go something a little bit more. Let's go purple down here. There you go, you can see the purple now. So by switching to full width, you can see that the background has now extended to the entirety of the email. So what does this mean for your readers? When the Eblast is received in the inbox of your recipient, if you have a full width style selected, then your content will only reach these borders here, but the background itself, the coloring background, will extend to the full width of their inbox. I'll put some purple down here and you can see a little bit more. And if you flick between boxed, see how it disappears? So the Eblast will end here and then full width. It extends with colors. So that's layout width, full width and boxed. You can play around with that. Send yourself some test eBlasts. Find out what you think looks best with your branding to decide which one works for you. Next, okay, we've got headers, a body, and a background. And what these are referring to are these 3 different sections here. So you've got a header up here, which I've got mine as being white. You've got the body, which is a lilac for me, and then a dark purple. We love purple here at Keela for the footer. Underneath this, you've got padding. And what this means is just kind of you can put a little bit of coloured padding between each section. This can be really good because it helps break up your eBlast, especially if you've got a lot of content to cover. It's good to sort of have sections to draw the eye of your reader to. I'll show you what it looks like. If I put, say, 25 there and 25 there, see how the borders have increased? I'll be able to add as much information to this section as I want, but it keeps the header very clearly separated from the body. Let's put a 10 between that body. So there it is, updating a little bit there. And at the bottom, I'll put 25. Okay, so that's the settings. I'm going to flick back to layout because this is where the true magic happens, people. This is where you add all of the content that you're wanting to insert into your message, into your eBlast. So I spent a little bit of time just then talking about how there's a header and a body and a footer section of your eBlast. In each of these sections, you can add what we call rows. And you can see here the dropper row here. Think of rows as sort of little frames or little boxes that you can put your content blocks in. Content blocks are all of the things that make up your eBlast. So things like text and images, any links you want to add down here, they go in these rows. And the reason for that is that these rows keep all of this information anchored into your eBlast. So it makes sure that it kind of sticks there and it doesn't get moved around. Everyone's email provider is different, and a lot of email providers interpret email code and all of that kind of stuff a little bit differently. So these rows ensure that everything sort of stays nice and neat. Enough of that. Let me show you how it works. Let me show you the magic. So the first step is to click on one of the rows and drag it into either your header or your body or your footer. So I've just clicked and dragged it to my header. I'm going to do another one. You can see there's different columns in each. So you've got one column, which means one content block can go in there, but there's 2 ones here and you've even got a 3 here. So I'll put a 2 there. Maybe, let's put another one down there. Down here. And that's good for now. More actually. Pop 2 down here in the footer. All right, we're getting there. So we've added some rows now. I want to add content blocks into them. So I'll scroll down here and let's look at all the different content blocks that you can add to your eBlast to make it sort of suit your needs. Okay, so, actually, while I'm here, I'm going to put another row there. Okay, that's it, I promise. So first thing I want to do is add a text box to my top row because I want to put a header. So let's call it Keela News because this is a monthly newsletter and I'm always going to have the same header. No matter what the content is, the header is always going to be the same. So I've got basic text editing functions here. If you've used sort of Outlook or Gmail or Microsoft Word, you'll probably be familiar with all of these. Make that a little bit bigger. You can change the alignment. What else can we do? We can, I might change the color, the font color, font family, sorry. What do we got? Roberto. What about source? I'm thinking, let's go classic, folks. Let's go Keela News in Times New Roman. All right, you can adjust the background of it. So if you wanted, you could put a little background kind of highlighter on it, or you can just keep it transparent. Lots of different text functions in here. I'll leave you to play around with all of them. Okay, so that is a header. Now see how there isn't that much space between the header and the top? I'm going to increase that by adjusting the padding. So here we've got 25, I'm going to make that 40. And what it's done is it's increased the padding between this row and the top. So see how that kind of comes into play later on? All right, next I'm going to put an image here. So I dropped an image content block into that row. You can upload an image from your computer. So by clicking on this, you can just upload it from your desktop, but you can also get it from Facebook, Instagram, and some online drives as well, or you can do a web search. But I'm just going to get it from my desktop. We'll get the Keela logo. All right, now it's looking a little bit too big for my taste. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this click and drag to resize it. Let's make it that big. Beautiful. All right, let's close that and move on. Okay, so next one we're going to drop in is a text box. And I know that this will sound very similar to what we were just talking about, but I'm going to get some lorem ipsum text, which is just fake text. And we're going to put it in here so you can see how you can customize big slabs of text. All right, let's personalize this eBlast a little bit. Okay, so I want to show you the next cool thing about adding text boxes to eBlast is this smart codes button here. So what we want to do is to be able to personalize these eBlasts that we send out to people. We want our recipients to feel like there's a personal connection. I mean, we care about them. We love our donors. We love our contacts. And using smart codes here is a great way to spiffy up your eBlast to make it a little bit personal. Click on here and you'll see a list of all of the different smart codes that you can apply to your eBlast. And basically a smart code is a place filler. So let's try first name. So see how it's a funny little bit of text here. And it speaks to the Keela system. So when you send out this eBlast, the Keela system will automatically replace this smart code with any value that's in the recipient's first name field. So for example, if this eBlast went to me and I had Elsie in my first name field of my contact profile, then first name would be replaced with Elsie. Whoop, sorry. And you can put a little comma there and it'll work out nicely. Now, one thing to consider is that if you do send out this eBlast and there isn't any value in the first name column, then the smart code won't be replaced with anything. It'll look like this, first name. Not to worry, we've got a special thing to help out with that. So that was the first name smart code that we looked at. I want to look at the smart name smart code. The smart name smart code is a pretty cool dynamic code. So Keela looks at a couple of different fields on your contacts profiles to try and find the best thing that will fit. So if you use this smart name code, Keela will automatically look at the preferred name field first. So the nickname, if you've got anything in the preferred name field, that's what Keela will choose first, which can be good because lots of people go by different names or like their middle name, for example, but you need to keep the first name accurate for donation receipts and things like that. So that's a nice way of personalizing your eBlast. The second thing that Keela will look at is the first name. If there's nothing there, then Keela will automatically look at the full name, which can be great if you've got sort of organizations or companies that you're emailing. Then it can be Dear ABC Incorporated. So I definitely recommend using the smart name code. Okay, enough of that again. I want to move on to adjusting paragraphs of text. So that's a bit long. I might move that out of there. You can see here that you can adjust the alignment of your text separately. So I can keep this here like that, but then I can make anything below it kind of justified, which makes it nice and neat and cut off. You can also adjust the spacing of your text. So if you want it to be spaced out, if you've got people like me who need glasses, sometimes it can be a little bit easier if the text is spaced out. You want your readers to have no problems reading it, especially if they're on a mobile device. Okay, moving on. Next, we're going to put another image in there. You're old hands at this, so I'll do this quite quickly. But I'm going to put a nice stock image of a beautiful, relaxing river in there. All right, now I want this image to line up with my text, so I'm going to reduce it a little bit, but I'll make it edge to edge. I want it to stretch out a little bit so that it sits on the same edge as this little text box here, so it's in line. All right, let's get some more fake text. Copy that. And I'm going to put another text box in there. Paste that on there. Brilliant. Okay, it's coming together. I'll match that to, I think I had double spacing. Was that double spacing? Yes, perfect. All right, so this is the Dear Elsie, this is my monthly newsletter. Hope you've been well. Thanks for supporting us kind of introduction. Now that I've gotten the introduction out of the way, I can look at adding all the other different content blocks. First thing I might do is add a divider. Dividers can be a really cool way of adding sections to your eBlast. If your eBlast is really long, again, similar to having padding, dividers allow you to break things up a little bit and draw the eye of your reader. Oh, I don't want that to be a background. Sorry, ignore that. We want the border to be purple. Beautiful. Okay, so see how it kind of adjusts and it splits everything up. There's also padding for dividers as well, so you can come in here and you can reduce that if you don't want as much space. Okay, let's look at, maybe we can add some of this. I've got lots of different box texts and image cards and images, different variations of the text box and images that I showed you. So I'll do a couple of those. Let's do, this is an image card where you can have an image, like a photo, and you can add, let's use these puppies here. You can add text to it as well. So this is good if you want to have like something pop out, a call to action, something really important that you want no one to miss. So if I read this eBlast, immediately I'm going to see this here. Oh, I've got a sort of erroneous row here that I want to get rid of. It doesn't look that good. I thought I was going to have a one row, but I changed my mind halfway through. Not to worry, you can hover over it and just click delete and it'll move that up. Okay, so we've looked at image card. Let's try an image caption. Similar, I'll import the same image so you can compare. So they're quite similar. One just has a big black box or a grey box that you can change the color to if you want. If you can make it purple. We love purple. I know I've said it once, I'll say it again. We love purple here. But whereas the image caption over here is supposed to be just really, really subtle, not drawing the eye, just a little bit of information. So maybe I'll change this to puppies are the best. And I might even make that text a little bit smaller because it is a caption. There we go. Okay, so we've looked enough at text and images. Let's move on a little bit. Oh, a video is a handy one. So you can click and drag this video icon here, and if you paste a URL into this image link section, then Keela will do its very best to create a thumbnail for your video. Now, it's really important to note that we can only get the information from YouTube to create that thumbnail if your video is at the highest resolution possible. Otherwise, YouTube and Vimeo won't send it to us. So just make sure that the resolution of your video is really high, and that'll be automatically updated there. You know what? This didn't really fit in with my eBlast, so I'm going to go through and delete that. And same with this, it's not looking that good. Let's put some text in there. Oh, we want a text. There we go. So I'll put a little bit of fake language. And it's starting to come together. I'm actually, normally my eBlasts look a lot worse than this, so you should be very pleased with my efforts. I know I am. All right, there we go. Beautiful. I normally get our wonderful UX designers to help me with this kind of stuff. Okay, coming along. So this is a little bit more information based. Lots of people have eblasts that are mostly images, something that we kind of encourage. You don't want people to be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling in their email. Okay, so next thing I'm going to be doing is looking at this button content block. So I'm going to click and drag that here. And the buttons are probably my favorite part of the Keela Eblast tool. Whether you've had a chance to look at our donation form or just form training in general, these buttons are really, really useful to link to those forms. So every eBlast should really have a call to action button or a button like this that tells your recipients what you want to do with them, what the point of this eBlast is, and give them kind of a task. And I mean, a lot of our eBlasts are fundraising. So for this example, I'm going to be using a fundraising call to action. So I'll go to the button type here and you can change it. You can link it to any of the forms that you've created in your Keela account. So anybody who clicks on it will automatically be taken to that form. Like I said, for me, I'm doing a donate form, but if you were to do something like a membership form or even an RSVP, you could have people click on an RSVP button if it was an event registration and link them to a custom form, which they can then enter their details in. The possibilities are endless. But let's go link to a donate form. Button text, I can choose it myself. Oh, actually, before I go any further, I just want to talk to you about the custom button. If you don't want to link to any of the forms, you can just have a custom button and you can link it to any website that you want here. So if you want to send your viewers to your website or anything like that, choose a custom button and put the link in here. The coolest thing about linking to a donate form means that anyone who donates through it will automatically be sent a receipt. They'll automatically be logged in your Keela account. And most importantly, you'll be able to view those donation statistics in your eBlast statistic email. So Keela links your donation form with your eBlast sending statistics. So you'll be able to track that afterwards. It's really cool. All right, let's change the button text. Donate is a little bit less, a little bit casual for me. I'm going to change it to donate now because that's the kind of energy I'm bringing to this eBlast. Next, you have the option to connect a form, a specific Keela form that you've created to this eBlast. So I'm going to connect my animal shelter donation form to it. So this is the one that your viewers will be taken to when they click on this donate now button. All right, let's change the colors. You guessed it, we're going with purple. And the text color I'm going to keep as white. That looks pretty good. So anyone who clicks on this is going to be taken there. You can adjust the button with lots of different kind of like editing things. Padding means that you can make the button a little bit bigger. Let's try 20. Wow, that's good. You can also make the button full width so it stretches along there as well, which I might do. Okay, that's buttons. What else have we got? Oh, code. Code is a good one for those people out there who are really good at making their own HTML code. One thing not to note is that this code is designed to be for self-contained code that does not refer to any external system. So it has to be custom code that you've created within this code block. So you can't sort of paste any code from other services or anything like that in here. It'll interrupt Keela's code. So just make sure it's custom. I won't show you how to use that because if you know how to use code, you're doing better than me. I'll delete that content block and we might just put a little bit of text here. I might sign off my eBlast here. So thank you for your support. And if I had a little signature or something, I could put it in here. I don't, so I'm just going to say Elsie, not a graphic designer, just so everyone knows when they receive this email. Make it Georgia. Let's make it a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, sorry. Okay, there we go. I might put that on the right side, see how that looks. There we go. Okay, we're coming along. Let's close that off and just review what we've done so far. So we've made a header by using a text box and I uploaded an image. We've learned about how we can customize our Eblast using smart codes, how to insert all the different image types, so image, image card, image caption. I talked a little bit about box text, just that it's similar, exactly the same as this image card here, except there's no image, it's just the text itself. We looked at dividers, we touched on video and code, but now it's time for one of the most important parts of sending out mass emails, and that is creating a footer. Now, I definitely recommend reading our articles about mass emails, making sure that you're complying with your country's anti-spam laws. But a hot tip today is to use this footer section here, this footer content block, which will help to ensure that you're being compliant. And let's see why. So I'm going to click and drag it to the very bottom of my Eblast, and I'll change the font color. I'll change the background actually for the moment to be white, and I'll change the font color to be black, just so it's really easy for you to see. So over here you can see that you've got a copyright. It's up to you if you want to have that. We put it in there just in case. We don't want you to forget it, but if it's not something that you're interested in doing, you can just remove it. It'll have your organization name there. Unfortunately, our organization name is just organization name, so that's something I should change in my organization settings. All rights reserved. Now, if you have a mailing address updated in your organization settings, it's automatically going to be updated here. So let's pretend that I did that before I created this Eblast. 123 Disney Road, USA. I'm clearly from Australia, so I'm not sure if that is an actual address. Who knows? So it's really important that you have your mailing address at the bottom of all mass emails that you send in order to be compliant. And then most importantly, you must have this unsubscribe from this list option down here. You really do need to have the ability to unsubscribe from any marketing or mass email that you send. If you're sending a one-on-one email, then it's fine. You don't need an unsubscribe button if it's just one-on-one. But if you're sending out a mass email, yep, just include it, folks. You'll save yourself a lot of headaches. And by using this footer content block, we've done the work for you. So you can just paste it in there, double check all the details, and you're good to go. All right, I'm just going to format this a little bit so that it goes in with my branding. I think my fondness for purple is really going to come back and bite me. This is not looking very kind on my poor eyes, but I'm sticking with it. Okay, so close that. So we've just looked at how to make a footer. The last final little touch is just by adding this website section here. So again, the websites will pull from your organization settings. So if you've updated social media or Facebook or websites in your organization settings, they'll automatically pull to here, and then anyone who clicks on them will be able to be redirected to them. So I might change this to Instagram. I'll change that to Twitter. You can remove the text. So if you just want icon only, you can remove that, pop them there. Beautiful. Ooh, I might put a border radius on them actually. I like it when they're a little bit rounder. Perfect. Okie dokie. So now I've sort of shown you the basics of each of these content blocks and the order to do it in. I'm going to save and close. Hopefully we never have to see that Eblast ever again. Oh no, it burns. There it is. Oh, it's not too bad. It's honestly not my worst work. But at any point when you come back in here, you can edit the content. So if you look at it here and you think, oh, hang on, I didn't change the spacing of this section here to match this section, you can jump back in and edit the content there. Okay, just a couple of more things before we move on to sending an Eblast. I just want to remind you where you can find these templates. So here's my monthly template here, and it was just under custom templates here. So if I go back to Eblast, and I can see in the Eblast tab I've got none created. If I go to custom templates, I can come in here and I can edit the content. Okay, so we've just learned how we can create an Eblast template. Let's take it back. We've created the template. Now it's time to send it out to share my purple monstrosity with the world. I come in here and I click on Create Eblast. I'll call it April Newsletter. So the assignee can be me, or it can be any other team member at my organization. Whoever the assignee is, if one of your recipients responds to the eBlast, so replies to it, the assignee is the person who'll receive that reply. And they'll receive it in their, hang on, Keela inbox up here. Okay, let's get back. So I said April newsletter, didn't I? Yes, I did. Assignee Elsie Coffee campaign. This is pretty cool. If you have been working with our campaigns section, if you've created a fundraiser for this, so maybe, I just realized I spelled April wrong. Maybe if I had an April fundraiser, like an Easter fundraiser or an autumn fundraiser if you're in the north, or a shout out to my Australian compadres if it's a long weekend for you folks. Maybe you had a fundraiser campaign that you want to connect this eBlast to. On top of that, if you had a donation form that was connected to that campaign, you could string them all together and sort of combine them. I'm going to connect it to my annual giving campaign and click Save. Okay, so we're in the eBlast. You can see automatically that you can edit any of the information that you just inserted, so nothing is in stone. It'll be in a draft status to begin with before you send it. And then all you need to do is just go through each section here and just add the stuff. So on the to section, I'm going to add recipients. You've got the option to send to a contact segment. So this is a personal segment that you've created to send to all contacts. So either one. I'm going to send it to all of my contacts. One thing to note is that there is an option here that says send to email addresses with unknown subscription status. What that means is that when you have contacts in your database, you have the option of setting their email communication preferences. And one of those is that they've opted in. If you didn't select opted in when you were adding new contacts, or they were being imported into the system, then their subscription status will automatically be set to unknown. So if you're wanting to send emails to everyone, regardless of whether or not you've told Keela that they're opted in, just make sure you have this box ticked. If you know for a fact that all of your contacts who are opted in have been labeled as opted in, then you don't need to tick this. So for example, for me, I'm 100% sure that my opted in contacts are all up to date, so I'm not going to send to contacts with unknown subscription status because I'm not 100% sure that they want to receive the messages, and it's just a way for me to make sure that I'm being really compliant, not sending emails to anyone who doesn't want to receive them. Okay, let's click Save. Now let's go to From. So I can put a name who I want the eBlast to be sent from. So I'm going to say it's just from the Keela family. And the sender email can be any email that I have connected to my organization. So I'll just keep it as my own. Oh, if you have your own domain, so for example, I'll show you. You can see here that when we signed up, we were given our own Keela email addresses. And we do this because not everyone has an email address with a domain on it. We want to make sure that everyone's able to send emails from Keela. But if you've got your own domain, like your own email address, so for example, this @capacityconference.co part of my email address, if you've got one of those that's personalized to your brand or to your organization, you may be able to connect it to your Keela account via SendGrid. So if you have any questions about that, you can go to the Help Center, which I should have had opened. Apologies. But you can go to the Help Center here, look at integrations, and just go to SendGrid here, and this will teach you all about how you can connect your domain. So think SendGrid. Okay, back to it. Now, reply to. So anybody who you want to receive replies to, apart from that assignee I was talking about, you can add them here. So I know I'm going to be out of the office over the next 3 days, so I'm going to assign Christian and Laura, so they'll receive replies as well. So no matter what, I know that none of them will get missed. Subject line. Make it something spiffy and call to action-y, like donate to our April fundraiser today. Now you can have a little bit of preview text. So this will appear in the preview section of your recipient's inbox. I think that kind of works. Right, save. Attachments. So sometimes people need to send out things like PDF documents or forms or attachments. You can add them in here. Just upload the files from your computer. It's completely optional. Let's upload a picture of a puppy. Beautiful, and save. Okay, and lastly, the content. So here is where the Eblast template that I have been discussing for so long comes into play. So you can click on Add Content, and here are those templates that you might recognize from before. But in your Save Template section, here's that beautiful template that we made. So remember when I said, regardless of if you're sending an Eblast from scratch or if you're building a default template, if you were sending this Eblast from scratch, you would just click on this basic template here and just follow the steps I did before to build your template. But we've already done that part. We've got a Save Template here. We'll add it. I could come in here and I could update it, so I could paste all of my April newsletter stuff in here, change the pictures to be more April, but I'd keep the header exactly the same and I'd keep the footer exactly the same. So it'll take me just a couple of minutes every time I want to jump in. So I'll save and close. And we're almost done, folks. Now that I've got everything updated, Keela will, this button here will become available. There's 3 different ways that you can send out your eBlast. The send right now means that we will put it into the queue and it'll be sent within the next couple of minutes, up to 10 minutes it can take. Schedule send time means that you can choose when you want it to be sent. Important to note that it will be sent on this time. So for example, if I choose the 8th next week and I click send, confirm, Keela will send it out at that time. You won't get any warnings or anything like that. And if you need to cancel it, you can come in here and you can cancel sending at any point. But this is really awesome if you want to send an email early in the morning or at night time or on the weekends, or sometime if you want to get it all over and done with and send it on like Giving Tuesday or something. It can be really cool to do that in advance. Cancel sending. The next one is send a test to myself. So by clicking this, what will happen is a copy of this eBlast will be sent directly to the email address that we have for you on file, and you'll be able to see what it looks like in your inbox and get an idea of how it feels. So for example, if I didn't notice the spacing issue I had before, where I haven't matched this spacing with this, it would be good to send a test email to myself because then I'd be able to see that. So we always recommend the first thing you do before sending is sending a test to yourself for sure. Imagine I've gotten my test eBlast and it looks beautiful and I'm happy with it. I'm going to send it, so I'll click send right now. Okie Now that changes everything a little bit. Once you've sent an eBlast, it can't be edited. Of course, it's already out there. It's already been received in your recipient's inbox. So I'll go to the overview tab up here. And I don't have any eBlast statistics yet because it's still being sent. It's still in that queue. If I go back to all eBlasts here, you can see the list of eBlasts that you've sent out will appear in this section here in this eBlast tab, and you can view the statuses and things like that. Okay, there we go. You've learned how to create an eBlast template or how to send an eBlast either from scratch or via a template that you've created today. Thanks for joining.